There are a lot of news from yesterday, and the most important one is that the Polish army started to move troops to the Belarusian border, that according to Reuters, Poland moves troops to eastern border amid Wagner fears. In other hand, the Daily Mail said that Vladimir Putin has already replaced Gerasimov, the major general who is the responsible of the Russian special operation in Ukraine. And we remember that Prigozhin, the Wagner boss, has accused Gerasimov and Shoigu, the defense minister of the Russian Federation. He accused them that they are not professionals and they don't have any good experience to manage the Russian war in Ukraine. And here it looks like that Vladimir Putin started listening to the Russian nationalists, and Prigozhin, he is one of them. But the latest update from the Russian Defense Ministry announced a video that Gerasimov still work and continuing his duty. And by this video we understand that the Russians answer the news of the replacement of Gerasimov and Shoigu, and they will continue them duty. In other hand, on the front line, it looks like that the Russians started them counteroffensive, especially on the front line of Liman, south of Bakhmut and Avdiivka. And the Russians has managed successfully to hold the line on the front line of Zaporozhye. All this and more, we're gonna speak about it on this video. And if you're new to this channel, welcome. It's your home. Make sure to like and subscribe. Grab your drink, focus, and relax. Day after day, we started realizing that the Wagner mutiny was only a Hollywoodic movement. For me, it looks like an amazing cover to transfer a huge amount of forces from the Donbas area to Belarus and to the other parts of the Russian-Ukrainian border. Poland began moving more than 1,000 troops to the east of the country on Saturday. The defense minister said, amid rising concern in the NATO member, that the presence of Wagner group fighters in Belarus could lead to increased tensions in its border. Russian President Vladimir Putin's decision to offer mercenary fighters of Yevgeny Prigozhin's Wagner group the choice of relocating to Belarus has led to fears among Eastern NATO members that their presence will cause greater instability in the region. Over 1,000 soldiers and almost 200 units of equipment from the 12th and the 17th mechanized brigades are starting to move to the east of the country, Mariusz Blacak wrote on Twitter. And also he quoted, "This is a demonstration of our readiness to respond to attempts at destabilization near the border of our country." Last Sunday, Poland said it would send 500 police to shore up security at its border with Belarus. Poland has accused Belarus of artificially creating a migrant crisis on the border since 2021 by fleeing in people from Middle East and Africa and attempting to push them across the frontier. A senior Wagner commander was quoted as saying on Saturday that mercenaries from the group were preparing to move to Belarus. "We will not move far from Belarus, and we are heading to Kremlin." The Daily Mail said that Vladimir Putin has replaced Gerasimov. Vladimir Putin has sacked a top general in charge of the war against Ukraine as he continues his purge of the top brass following Wagner's attempt coup last month. General Valery Gerasimov, 67 years old, has been ousted as conflict commander less than 6 months after he was appointed. He has been replaced by Colonel General Mikhail Teplensky, according to Russian media. Gerasimov will remain in charge of the Russian armed forces as chief of the general staff, but overall responsibility for the war now goes to Teplensky, 54 years old, commander of the country's airborne troops. This news is according to the Moscow Times, citing military-linked pro-war Z channels. But we did not wait for so long from the Russian answer. The Russian Defense Ministry announced a video shows Gerasimov performing his duty, and by this we can understand that Gerasimov replacement, it could be a fake news from the Russian outlets and from the British outlets, and the general will continue his duty. In other hand, Erdogan shows his true color, a person that doesn't respect his latest deals, and giving back the Azov members to Ukraine is one of them. We all know that it was a deal between Putin personally and Erdogan. In this deal were mentioned that those Azov 5 members should not be handled to Ukraine only after the war end. But it looks like Erdogan play his favorite game, jumping between the ropes, sometimes cooperating with the Russians about the Turk Stream and cooperating with the Russians about the transfer of weapons through the Black Sea, and on the other hand, he announcing that Ukraine should be in NATO. Turkey is one of the winners in this war, and Erdogan making a huge strategic wins over the Russians and over the NATO because of the geostrategic positions of Turkey. But on the front line, starting from Luhansk region, 2 weeks ago, the Russians wins or control over Yahidna and the north outskirts of Kupiansk. It looks like that the Russians are not stopping. And the latest update said that the Russians now are focusing on the front line between Yahidna and Svatova. There were a fierce fighting reporting in the vicinity of Novoselivka. According to ISW, the Russian forces conducted ground attacks along the Kharkiv-Luhansk Oblast and south of Crimea. The Ukrainian General Staff reported that Russian troops tried to advance northwest of Svatova, Novoselivka, and south of Crimea. And the Russian Western Group of Forces spokesperson Sergei Sibinsky claimed that elements of the 1st Guard Tank Army struck the Ukrainian equipments near Pshishani. A Russian blogger claimed that the Russian forces unsuccessfully attempted to cross the Ziberst River between Svatova and Crimea, and now they are attacking toward Checherna. On the other hand, Raiba announced a significant advance of the Russian forces in the forest area, and the Russians started an advance toward Spirna from 3 directions. This attack started yesterday, and if the Russians establish control over the settlements, that will lead to more pressure over the Ukrainian in the area. On Zaporozhye Oblast, there is no major changes. The Russians are well shore up the front line, and the Ukrainians suffered a lot of losses, especially the 128th Mechanized Brigade, which has been transferred back to other area. And the fail of the Ukrainian counteroffensive will lead only to more crazy decisions will be taken by NATO. Same like we have heard about giving cluster bombs to Ukraine, and that even many NATO members has opposed the US decisions, like Canada and France. And they said according Oslo Treaty, who use transfer make cluster bombs is a war criminal. I don't think so that the cluster bombs will be a game changer, because even the Russians has millions of these bombs, and also they will find no other choice only to use them too. And the only loser will be the normal people and the farmers who will suffer from those cluster bombs that has been not exploded. So yes guys, that was the most important updates. And again, thank you very much for choosing to watch this video. And I wish for everybody an amazing day. Bye bye.